Parental gaslighting is the silent killer of teenage relationships. It systematically dismantles your kids' trust in their own mind. It's phrases like, "You're being too sensitive. That didn't happen. I don't remember that. I never said that. You're remembering it wrong." It's the student who's terrified to answer a question because they don't trust their own judgment. Imagine if you went to a doctor with a broken leg and the doctor looked at you and said, "You aren't in pain." They go underground. They hide their thoughts. They hide their mistakes. They hide their fears. Your actions, which is your surveillance, are saying, "I don't trust you." Your words are saying, "You are crazy for thinking I don't trust you." They are walking on eggshells, waiting for a storm that you deny ever happens. You have to move from defending your intentions to validating their experience. I can see that right now you're feeling ignored and not heard. I'm sorry, I made you feel that way. I'm ready to listen. Your child's trust in their own mind is the navigation system they will use for the rest of their life. And if we break it now to win an argument, we send them into the world blind. Hello, and welcome back to Talking Teens Official. I'm Narelle, and thank you for joining me and for your listening ears. I really appreciate it. Before we jump into today's episode, I'm just going to remind you, you might have seen it on all my socials, my From Triggered to Connected program that we'll be running in my school community for a small group of parents where you can work directly with me. And the doors are going to be closing on applications for this at the end of February. So please, if you're interested in building a better relationship with your teenager and you need help executing this, that's exactly what I do. Drop a comment on this podcast or just message me in one of my socials and I'll get back to you and we'll be in touch and see if we can work together. All right, let's get back into it. Today we're going to talk about a concept that is trending everywhere online, but is often misunderstood in the home. And I want to start with the hard truth. Parental gaslighting is the silent killer of teenage relationships. It systematically dismantles your kids' trust in their own mind and eventually their trust in you. If you want to stop destroying your child's emotional development, it's such a strong word, but I'm going to use it, destroying, often without even realizing you are doing it. You need to understand these behaviors immediately. Now, before you go out and say, "Hey, Narelle, I'm not a manipulator. I love my kid. Please stay with me," because I know you do. I know you love your kid and I know you're not a manipulator. But in my 20 years of teaching, I've seen that most gaslighting isn't malicious, it's accidental. And it happens more often than you think. It comes from a place of fear, of defensiveness, or just trying to keep the peace. But the damage is the same. So today we're going to take a look at the invisible cage of false narratives and how to foster a healthy environment where your child feels safe to trust their own reality. So I just want to paint a picture for you what it actually might look like in your house that you don't even realize is going on, because it's rarely in the movies. So just imagine you're in the kitchen, it's a Tuesday night, and you're doing just what you normally do in your kitchen with your family. It's usually subtle. The systematic invalidation of lived experience. It's phrases like, "You're being too sensitive. That didn't happen. I don't remember that. I never said that. You're remembering it wrong." Or the classic, "I was joking. Can't you take a joke?" When your teenager hears these phrases repeatedly, and this applies to anyone, I'll just say, like, this is not only applicable to teenagers, but when your teenager in particular hears these phrases repeatedly, it's what creates what I call an invisible cage. So we've talked about invisible scripts before, but now we're having an invisible cage because they start to question their own memory. They start to question their own senses. And if you've ever been gaslighted by someone before in the past, you'll know exactly what I'm thinking about. But I see the results of this in the classroom all the time. It's the student who's terrified to answer a question because they don't trust their own judgment. It's the kid who constantly asks, "Is this right? Is this okay?" Because their internal compass has been broken. If you find yourself constantly correcting your child's version of reality to make yourself look better or even just to avoid an argument, that's the red flag. You are prioritizing your comfort over their sanity. And again, this is a little bit hard hitting, this one. And the long-term cost, they stop trusting their own minds to appease you or just to keep you happy. So they'll just be a little bit more subdued. So you might be thinking, Narelle, surely me saying you're too sensitive isn't that big of a deal. It's just words. But here's what happens in the teenage brain when these words land over and over again. And again, it's the same with adults. When a teenager or your kid comes to you with a feeling, say they are hurt by something you said, and you respond with, I never said that, or you're imagining things. When a teenager comes to you with a feeling, say they are hurt by something you said, and they actually have the balls or the guts to tell you, and you respond with, I never said that, or you're imagining things. You aren't winning the argument, you're dismantling their reality. Imagine if you went to a doctor with a broken leg and the doctor looked at you and said, you are in pain. That sounds really familiar. You're just being dramatic. That leg isn't broken. You wouldn't stop feeling the pain. You would just stop trusting the doctor. If anyone knows a little bit more about that, have a chat with me. And that is exactly what happens in your home. When a child realizes that their reality will always be denied, they don't stop having feelings. They just stop bringing them to you. They learn that honesty is a trap. They learn that sharing their inner world leads to confusion, not comfort. So what happens then? They go underground. They hide their thoughts. They hide their mistakes. They hide their fears because in their mind, it is safer to be alone in the pain than to share it and be told that it doesn't exist. So this creates a profound insecurity. And in the playgrounds, I see it. They are the ones who are terrified of conflict, or conversely, they are the ones who stay in toxic friendships because they've been trained to believe that being treated badly is normal, and being told those things all the time is normal because the issue is them and not everyone else. And then if they complain, they are the problem. So we've talked about the words, but in 2026, gaslighting has evolved. It's gone digital. Keep this in your mind as well. Think about it. I see this pattern emerging more and more, and it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but it's the parent who has Life 360 on their child's phone, checks their messages, and monitors their every move. But when the teenager says, why don't you trust me? Why are you watching me? The parent replies, I do trust you. You're just paranoid. It's just for your safety. I'm just making sure that you're safe. That's all. Stop making a big deal out of it. Do you see the disconnect? Your actions, which is your surveillance, are saying, I don't trust you. But your words are saying, you are crazy for thinking I don't trust you. And again, that just comes out of pure love and a desire to protect your child. But if they know you are constantly checking it, checking their location, checking their phones, that's the gaslighting bit. The gap between what they experience and what you tell them creates deep confusion. I'll say that again. The gap between what they experience and what you actually tell them creates deep confusion. And then there's the cycle of rage and denial. This is the most damaging pattern of all, because what actually happens then is you or the parent will explode. There is yelling, maybe there's slammed doors, maybe some really hurtful things are said, and the teenager is left in tears, shaking. But an hour later, you walk into the room calm as a cucumber and say, what do you want for dinner? Why are you still crying? Get over it. They act as if the explosion, or the parent, or you might act as if the explosion never happened. And if the teen tries to bring it up, they are told, I didn't yell that loud. You pushed me to do it. I was just angry at you. This leaves the child constantly off balance. They are walking on eggshells, waiting for a storm that you deny ever happens. And again, this might sound a little bit familiar in the adult world too. So take this and think about it. Because now I want to tell you how to fix it. How do we stop the accidental gaslighting and start rebuilding their trust in you and themselves? The solution sounds simple, but in the heat of the moment, it is incredibly hard. You have to move from defending your intentions to validating their experience. What do I mean by that? You don't have to agree with the facts to validate the feeling. And here's what it looks like. Let's say your kid screams at you, "You never listen to me." Your brain automatically pulls out a list of all the times you listened to them. And you say, "That's not true. I listened to you yesterday." Just stop that. That is the trap. The moment you argue the facts that they're telling you they remember or how they feel, you are telling them that that feeling is wrong. Instead, try this. Take a deep breath. Drop your shoulders and say, "I can see that right now you're feeling ignored or not heard. I'm sorry, I made you feel that way. I'm ready to listen." That's it. Notice what I did there? I didn't admit to being a bad listener. I admitted that they feel ignored. That was it. I validated their reality without betraying my own. So when you do this, when you hold space for their truth instead of crushing it with yours, because what you see is different, it's all about perspectives, you unlock that invisible cage. You see their shoulders drop. You see them exhale because finally they aren't fighting to prove they exist. They can just be. And once they feel heard, then you have a conversation about the facts. But connection has to come before the correction. See what I did there? That's my tagline. Connection over correction. If you liked that, give me a thumbs up. I mean, that was a good one. So let's bring it all together in true teacher style. I will recap for you. It's a bit of a hard-hitting one, this one. We started with the hard truth that, parents gaslight their kids and it's the killer of trust. We looked at the invisible cage created by the phrases like, "You're too sensitive. I didn't yell that loud. Don't worry about it. It was a joke." We explored how this dismantles a child's foundation, forcing them to hide their true selves because they learn that honesty is very unsafe. We recognize the patterns of control, i.e. digital surveillance like your Life 360 or tracking on Google Maps, combined with emotional denial and the confusing cycle of rage and calm. And finally, we learned the anecdote, validation. We learned that you don't need to be right to be connected. You just need to be willing to see the world through their eyes, even for a second. I want to leave you with one final thought though. Your child's trust in their own mind is the navigation system they will use for the rest of their life. And if we break it now to win an argument, we send them into the world blind. So let's help them calibrate their compass and not smash it. That's it for this week. If this episode made you feel a little bit uncomfortable, that's a good thing. It means you're growing. And that's exactly what we're doing in my From Triggered to Connected program. If you want to keep practicing these validation scripts, you need to come in and join my school community. We have a whole thread on what to say when you want to scream. And if you found value in this, consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, remember that focus. Connection over correction. I'm Narelle, and this is Talking Teens Official.